Okay, this is Mr. Whitem again. I want to finish up today's lecture on Pre-Calculus, Lafayette High School, Section 4.5, Properties of Logarithm. Okay, so we've learned our power rule. We've learned our quotient rule. We learned our multiplication rule. We've learned our inverse properties. Now, how are we going to we're going to use all these things together to expand complicated logarithmic expressions. So let's start out with something here. I've got, a multitude of things going on here. Okay, the first thing I want you to recognize is I've got two terms, this guy and this guy, that are being multiplied together. So okay, I can use my multiplication property to expand that out into an addition. All right? So what can I do next? Well, I've got some exponents, so I can use my power rule to bring them down as coefficients. Okay? Just remember the cube root of y is the same thing as y to the 1/3 power, and that's not so hard. Let's try something a little bit more complex, not much. Okay, let's start off with using our division or quotient rule to turn it into a subtraction. Next thing we'll do is use our power rule. And we've got this expanded out. All right, again, not too bad. Generally speaking, the strategy is look for quotient and multiplication rule first, and then your power rule last. Okay, but that is not hard and fast. It's not hard and fast, but as a general rule of thumb, where do you start? And that's what I look for. All right, let's try a more difficult one. It's got lots of different things going on. Okay, so it's this, and they give you this domain thing, x greater than 2. Yeah. It's kind of like when, you buy something at Walmart and it's got some fine print. Don't use this thing to set yourself on fire. Okay, I really don't care about that. That's just our mathematician's way of just saying, oh, hey, this thing, I'm smart enough to know it's not defined at x equal 2. As far as what we're doing, absolutely do not care. Right? So when you see that, is it part of the problem? Do I need to find a domain or range? The answer is no. That's just some math nerd telling you that, oh yeah, I know this isn't defined at that point. Okay, good for him. All right, so what are we going to do? All right, I see some things being divided. I see some things being multiplied and all sorts of yeah. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my division rule. Now, before I go any further, I said usually use your multiplication and division rules first. Now, you may see a problem that has something like this on it. This may be, oops, let's get a color here that works. Let's try that. You may have this thing that says, oh, that's cubed. All right, well, what's the first thing you got to do? The first thing you got to do is you got to use your power rule, and you got to bring the 3 down here, and then rock and roll like we're doing here. All right. So if you see a problem like that, don't where the whole thing has some sort of exponent or something. All right, don't freak out. You do have to do the power rule first, and then when you're all done, you can distribute that 3 if you want. No big deal. All right, so use the quotient property. Okay, that's my first move. Turn it into a subtraction. And then we notice that the two pieces have a multiplication. So I can use the multiplication rule. And then on this second term, I can use my power rule. Okay, so on this guy, I use multiplication. On this guy, I use my power rule. Okay, and these guys can use some power ruling. And don't try to distribute that 2. Doesn't work. Okay, so I'm able to use my power rule again. I cannot distribute that 2. And then we're done. Really not so hard. Really not so hard. Just look at it, use a rule. See if you can use a rule again. All right, use that rule. See if you can use something else. Just keep on going till you just can't go any further. And then what do we have here? Okay, this is our assignment. Okay, and this will be due tomorrow. All right, remember, the odd ones are in the back of your book. Check your answers and get your confidence that you're doing these well. And we'll take a look at them tomorrow. Thank you for your time.